So, good morning to you. If you're going to watch me live here on my, as I said, snowed in snowpocalypse updates for the channel, it is almost 9 a.m. Central Time, 8:58 per the Google machine over there. 12 degrees here in Central Arkansas. Snowy. The snow has not been so steady, or at least not been so heavy, I should say, but it's been snowing ever since about 9:30-ish, or snow, ice, whatever combination you want to call it. And then after about an hour or so, it actually started to stick last night. So if you are watching news coverage across the nation, I'm watching CNN, and they're about to go to some other pre-canned stuff. They keep going to Little Rock roads, and Little Rock roads are, oddly enough, no one's driving on them, which is the good thing. But there are basically blankets of white all over the place here. I've looked out my window, looked out my security cameras going back and forth. Everything is just a clear sheet of white right now. No one's trying to move around. We are expecting more snow, 100% chance of precipitation basically all day long, based on how it's going to fly. Though it was mostly sleet last night, so it may not be the inches of snow, just some inches of sleet, and then about 80% for Sunday. And then Monday and Tuesday, where it gets interesting, where we don't expect more precipitation, no extra added to what's going on. It's going to be all left to folks on the East Coast to get some extra things on Monday and Tuesday. But our temperatures will be extremely low, and our wind chill will be somewhere around, I don't know, zero. So that's what we're going to deal with for the next couple of days. So with that, we're snowed in for the weekend, and I've got lots of time to kind of get ready for stuff. We were already planning for stuff, and I already had things set up. The family is all settled down, and as long as we have power, we will stay on board. And when we lose some power, if we lose power, because 10 years ago we had a massive snowstorm where a big chunk of the city lost power, and for days we were started in the cold. But as long as we have power, we have internet. Life is oddly enough good, believe it or not. So, with that, I decided to come on, and we'll see if we can fight some of these coughing fits, because I've been essentially down for at least 2 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, and just kind of go into what's happening with the J. Cliff, what's happening with the Conversation Project, what's going on right now, because I've got nothing better to do. Wrestling tonight's at like 6 o'clock start time for Saturday night main event, and football's tomorrow. I do have some work to do. I got to grade some papers and set some stuff for class, virtual of course. But why not do the thing that this thing has not been doing for weeks, and that has been publishing anything to you guys out there. And part of that is because it's an interesting weekend. This is the 24th of January. And if I count correctly, this is the fourth actual weekend of the month of January. January has 5 because of 31 days. And it's the first weekend out of these 4 weekends, 3 have passed, that haven't been basically all about Donald Trump doing something that have overtaken the storylines. He may want to take credit for the weather, but I don't think he can. He can try. He can try a lot of things, but I don't think he can for this one. So while the weather is a story and people will be snowed in or iced in or frozen in across most of the nation, I just want to take a little time to talk about what is going on in my life, what's going on in the life of this channel, and how things are going forward and how things are going to maybe change, hopefully for the better, but most likely we need to get back on track. So going back months, literally months, on October 31st, I went into the emergency room, and then as the clock struck over to midnight and 1, had emergency surgery for putting a stent to my heart, as I was having a Widowmaker style heart attack at that time. And it was so much of a seriousness that everyone around me was just basically just barking commands and doing whatever, and all I could do was just kind of sit there and go with that. After a day of observation in the hospital, where I was not very happy because they would literally not let me get out of bed for 24 hours, I came home, and because I'm a narcissist, worked from home on Monday, was back in the office on Wednesday because I'm just that way. What's happened in that period of time from November to the beginning of January, where I've actually started beginning some therapy for just getting back into some systems of shape, I have noticed that there's been some deterioration in my just fitness. Why I missed the signs that things were wrong beforehand is because I'm stubborn. Why I see the signs and how the fatigue is happening now is because I'm not so stubborn, but I'm also a bit frustrated with what's going on. Because of that, because of trying to focus on health concerns and other things and staying alive. 51 is great. 52 will be awesome when we get to September this year, and we'd like to get a few more digits on there, a couple of decades, if you will. I've had to be more compliant and more, let's just say, less argumentative in my compliance. So as a doctor says does something, I do something. If something needs to be done, I'm doing it. The biggest part about the breakaway came from, and it came to me in realization on therapy on Thursday, is that I'm listening to whatever I'm being told I need to be hearing about to do better. And on that day, that we had a class that was on perfecting your fitness and how to get more out of your fitness going forward. And right now, because I'm only going to twice a week into the therapy, I'm not getting much out of fitness, but I am still walking across campus at work and getting winded and lifting large things I'm not supposed to. That's not constructive, but it's there. The only thing that was actually given up, the only thing that was actually that I gave up to get better with was the things that essentially I gave up that keep me from going insane and crazy. We stopped producing daily things for Conversation Project. I stopped working on other newsletters for More Better Media. The very boring business advice. We stopped that newsletter and all those things altogether. I have recently picked it up to read it because it was also my research for my business, for my own personal entity, and I turned it into a newsletter for business, but with it as well. We stepped working on the newsletters parts for the Tuesday afternoon general manager for the podcast thing. And basically that's been a testing of how fragile, how bad ChatGPT actually is. And so I've been basically using that to sort of work on my prompts and fix some things to get information. It's turning into more of a exercise in futility, but as an exercise is actually helping out in what I'm doing to help make this mostly one-man show work a little better. What else did we not do? We stopped doing the history of the day, which was a very simple thing. Is basically ask the internets, give me some history stuff, copy, paste it, and go from there. Double check to make sure it didn't give me some dead people for birthdays, because it tends to do that sometimes. And we stopped doing that, and that was something that was really a lot of people hitting on. We stopped putting out some of the new experimental stuff, or we slowed it down a bit. I also have a Bible verse study sort of a guide thing that is not so much public. It's going out to various people. And because we were weeks ahead of the time, I almost just stopped it completely, but then I kept going and doing that one ahead of time. And so it's still always weeks ahead of time what's going on. When it pops up, each week's worth of verses come up, I don't know what it is because I've forgotten. We're 4 or 5 weeks ahead of time. So I've, pushed back off. And so it is kind of a mystery, if you will. It is kind of a surprise, though we're going to get a little bit better at once we get some things defined at sort of scoping it out there so they make more sense. We had some perfect roll in from Christmas and New Year's, things like that. But now it's back to just sort of general topics. So now the general topic is as it goes. Not working on More Better Media, not working on the Conversation Project, not working on podcasts and videos, things consistently. I popped up once or twice with some things here or there and some shorts because I had to, because Trump was trumping Trump has been the real sort of pain point from here. Now, let me be honest. I work in education, and there's a lot of changes going on in the education world that are Trump problems and other problems, and a lot of things going on with some newness of what's happening at my college and just the community in the state. Arkansas is not the best with its education as well. So it's been a bit frustrating. And even though it's time consuming and tiring, all the Conversation Project stuff basically kept me focused, kept me on time. Literally, since I wake up in 3 a.m, I work on the Conversation Project until we go to work. And then at various points in times, my break times are actually broken down to things and are being published, things being pulled down, data going forward. I have been blessed this semester with a for what for me is a full load of teaching classes. So I am overstocked with time where I'm in front of students or on front of a computer and students in some sense. I've not been blessed so far this season, this entire season, from beginning of from the end of 2025 to this early parts of 2026, where I'm in charge of some of the media and the camera work for recording and some audio and things like that and PA stuff for our basketball team for college. But I guess I'm blessed that I get the opportunity. But at the beginning of the season, I tried to get out of it because of time-wise stuff, and now it's more time taken up on those things as well. I am definitely not exactly blessed when it comes to the time it's taking into my therapy because it's taking time to work. It's becoming another chore. It's something else I don't really want to do. Listen to other folks tell me things that I already know, and it's there. And the one thing, like I said, often the thing that has kept me from going insane and going postal at work and in various places is the Conversation Project and the work there. The unfortunate part about that is while it's growing, while it's getting better, it's not growing to the point where it's viable to do much anything to move away. Job market is not so great, and I actually like my job. I like what I'm doing, so trying to find something like that has been a bit difficult going forward, and it's just been on those levels. And I'm not quite sure that I'm back on a capacity where I can actually keep things scheduled and keep things going on. There are too many other variables, too many other meetings and things that are happening that I essentially all of a sudden I find out myself attached to that are fixes that must be dealt with for them. I could say, great, I'm lucky that so many people need me to do these things. But the reality is, it's basically the life of a people pleaser. You do your best to make sure people are doing well. And because you think if they're doing well, you'll do well in the process. And then sometimes, most times, they move on to take care of other things and you are kind of stuck where you are. That is sort of how we're working this right now, how we're looking at this right now. So in this bit more confessional than anything, we're going to figure out how to get more things back into play. We're going to use the weekend because I'm literally stuck in the house with a teenager who doesn't really want to, engage with us. I will, spend some time and hang out with my wife. She has threatened snow angels. We'll see if that happens this evening. But basically look at some times, look at some things, and get back into the sort of swing of things. I've not stopped observing news. In fact, I've kept posting things to the feeds on Facebook and X. But I've not been that worried about things being, jammed up because we're not recording very much. We're not doing very much, not doing any commentary. In working to find more places, more amenable places, more accessible places of commentary, it's the actual curse that was there before. The things that I'm producing aren't bad. I'm actually fairly good at looking in this camera and talking to you. I'm very good at talking into microphones. I'm very good at that part. It's the looking in the camera that gets a little weird. Editing is, a chore, so I'd make things so they edit as least as possible, a little bit as possible. And while I'm having some issues with breathing and respiratory stuff, that has made some of the longer dialogues a little bit difficult. You know what? There are people out there who do so much worse out there with larger followings that people follow and people listen to. So part of the problem is getting out of my head and just understanding that this is who I am, this is what we produce, and we will add the production value that we can, when we can, how we can. But for all practical purposes, this is good enough there because there are people who produce things to a much larger scale that this is not, they don't get this good of work going forward. So we will deal with that. We will deal with how we're going to write some more stories and do some more work, and so that it is more focused going forward. One thing I don't want to get into is a both sides ism of my commentary, of my thought processes. I really want to just give my opinion. I really want to just read a story and let you guys go back and forth and we dig into it. But because I do so much stuff that's a lot of Trumpy stuff, that it gets away, and Trump stuff is just sort of kind of weirdly specifically bad. It does turn into a thing at times. But my good friend Peter Thiel, not that Peter Thiel, but another Peter Thiel, who is still knocking it out in talk radio, has a column he does on Barrett Media, and I don't think I'll be able to pull it up right now because I rebooted the computer, because I'm looking at it for like a day and a half, then I rebooted the computer, so now I don't actually see it. So there's that. We'll deal with that later. But it was the three things that talk show hosts need to have to be successful. Three things that you have to be successful, and that one was an opinion, which I think I have a pretty solid and pretty steady opinion on things. I don't, wander back and forth. And if something is a plus for something that is normally a minus, if I think Trump did a good thing, I can tell you this is my opinion on that one. The second and third were essentially a story to talk about, news stories that are worthy to talk about. And the biggest problem is getting off of the what did Trump do this weekend, today, yesterday, whatever, to affect things. Of course, Davos and Minnesota and all sorts of things that he's ratcheting up, and affordability and gas prices, things like that. He's doing things, but to not get so stuck on a Trump derangement hate syndrome, because a lot of the commentaries that I'm basically seeing, that I'm comparing myself to and using for my measuring stick, is essentially, let's bitch about Donald Trump, which is not so much a bad thing, but I'm not a progressive liberal. I'm actually more of a moderate conservative. And so it's not that I hate Republicans. I'm just not a fan of Trump stuff right now. So when the next guy comes in, whether they are a Republican or a Democrat, I want to be able to use the same amount of vim, vigor, and just sort of general, not niceness to that guy too, without people think I'm flip-flopping. Essentially, I want to be equal opportunity hater, but it's just so easy to just hate on Donald Trump with some things going on, or vice versa. So easy to just be sycopathically in love with him, although many other folks that have been following him are starting to back away from what's going on, specifically with the ICE stuff, and specifically how the more we talk about ICE, the less we talk about Epstein, which should have been happening weeks ago. So there's that. So it's have an opinion, and pretty much I have an opinion on anything. We want to talk about it, we can do that. Have a story worth talking about. And for whatever reason, the third thing is escaping me. I'll try to find it later. But the real third thing that I have a problem with, the real thing that I have issue with, is the venue. Because if, someone were paying me to sit on the radio for a couple hours and talk to people out there, I'd find a way to connect, keep things going. That's not what we have. I'm trying to do things on YouTube, and it's, the tip jar is out. We'll see what happens. Looking for partnerships. Partnerships are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Advertisers are affiliate ads, so you got to buy something for me to get something there. And the collaboration stuff I have. There are some folks out there who I have great conversations with outside of the video stuff, and some folks that do allow me on their platform and do come on this platform back and forth as well. The biggest issues I've had is timing, because my day job takes up so much time and so much real time within the day. It's hard to sort of coordinate with that one. And right now it's taking up nighttime because I have have evening classes 2 nights a week, with that going forward. Now, a bit of a sort of insider thing on that one. When I was forced out of radio 6-7 years ago, I assumed when I came and took on this job, which came about a little bit after that, about a year or so, did my unemployment for the time, and then sort of had to jump on something because we're running out of money. I thought I'd be overtaking the work that I was doing as independent, as a consultant, air quotes, or as a news person, air quotes, and tagging it to the work here. I wanted to work and write more stuff that was business and oriented, or personal development oriented, or process oriented, and have my background, operations support manager at Shorter College as the background. I wanted to get a adjunct faculty spot so I can write more stuff about business leaders, business works, and have that plausible deniability that when I put something in there that seems a lot like someone that you may know, I can say, oh no, that's a case study from some company somewhere, and we kind of looked at how their management is working things as well, as opposed to, yeah, I saw you do something really dumb, so I wrote it up, and hopefully it is entertaining and gets people to watch, paying attention to it. That was sort of the plan that was there, and that's sort of where things are going at the moment. Fortunately, or unfortunately, in the last couple of semesters where I'm putting a lot more time into writing presentations, writing scripts, writing things for the classroom to teach my students. I'm going to do a little I guess that's a gray piece, so I thought it was a little boogie. Nope, just gray hair. We'll work on that later. Missing a haircut this week too, so that may be something that'll be an issue. But that was part of the thing where I was publishing so much stuff, trying to do cram in podcasts so I can make sure I'm still staying relevant to what I'm working on. Trying to literally publish a book every single month, which using ChatGPT wasn't very hard to get the basic concept, get the basic details, and kind of run it through. The biggest thing was because the AI was involved, it takes a lot of time to kind of de-AI the AI, so it's not just, you copying things straight from AI. I mean, dealing with that with my classroom students right now. And that turned into just an ever lasting cycle of overwork. Because all this said and done, the whole point of trying to be more grounded and focused is to manage what's paying the bills. If this would pay more of the bills, I could do less things, and I could still have plenty of time to spend time with family and do things on that end. And what actually came to pass was after the heart attack, and I just dropped a lot of stuff. I spent a lot more time literally just family stuff. And like I said, the teenager may have rather not, but it was something that was useful. Spent a full week of time in vacation at Christmas, which is doing nothing but focusing on the two ladies in my life. A lot of time being spent over some of these weekends, although I did get some work in and do, like I said, the podcast, the newsletter parts of the podcast, the website parts of the podcast for the football stuff, but basically sitting there and just watching the game as opposed to looking at the stats and writing things down back and forth. But what I have missed and what is missing right now is a sense of urgency, a sense of schedule, a sense of what's going on. I don't necessarily get out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning anymore because I don't have to start work for 2 hours to get a script ready. But I also don't get up, get ready, get woken up, get my coffee, get my shower, get things going so I'm ready to go rock and roll from the get-go. That also doesn't happen as well. So we're going to work on that. And I'm not sure what work on that means, but we're going to work on that. I'd say starting Monday, we'll probably get back into a schedule. There also is an issue starting Monday. The roads won't be clear, so I'll be working from home on Monday. And so we'll have to figure out what the actual work schedule is. If you know of any venues, any people, any podcasters, any bloggers that want to have more chit chats with other folks of varying opinions, I will be honest, my opinions tend to be right of center. I tend to have a conservative sort of stance, slightly conservative sort of stance, even with this face. But I am low to call myself a conservative. I'll say independent because I think independent minded. I'm low to call myself a conservative because what that means, an overarching thing. Yeah, there's a whole lot of not liking brown people right now. So I don't want to tag onto that particularly. If you know somebody who wants to chit chat with folks like that in their conversations on their platforms, on their podcasts and on their videos, send them my way. I am in the begging stage right now. It's just, I ain't too proud to beg. If you know somebody who wants more interaction with someone, another voice to go back and forth with, put us in contact. Let's get to know each other. Let's talk back and forth and see if we can work. Because what you get is in the back and forth, it's not necessarily you're looking for a Piers Morgan style argument fest, which is what his show essentially is all the time, or watching Abby Phillip, and as they do Table for Five, and they do the news night stuff where it really is the Scott Jennings show. Scott Jennings comes on and says something crazy, and everybody kind of yells at him. That's not what we're looking for. That's not what you're looking for. I'm looking for actual conversations. If you want to have more actual conversations, I need you to comment and reply more often. I need you to be more engaged in things I produce out there and make them viable so that I know this is a great place to do that. Timing wise is the real key. If I know something is going to be consistent, I can make time for it. A couple of videos here or there I've done that have been sort of replying to the comments, which seems to be the only way to really get a lot of replies back to stuff. And we can do that, but that means that's less working on other things. Like I said, I have some competing loyalties that I'd rather not be competing with that get in the way as well. One of the biggest thing is the live basketball. We will work on that going forward. Another big one is evening classes, which are oddly enough getting in the way of my civic work I do with our neighborhood association and some other things as well. Those meeting times are the same times that my class is. So for the semester, I'm kind of out of luck for being in the loop for those things. Hopefully I can be re-engaged in a few more weeks and those things pass. But my goal to be more community engaged, although I think it's working more or less well for the college because I'm there all the time, but be more community engaged in the city, be more engaged with what's going on, trying to work to, like I said, when I wrote the book on being engaged with your, the book on being engaged with politics, even after the vote is done. It's not so much about being always there. It's about being there when you need to be, and being being there when you need to be, being engaged when you need to be, and being there to do what you can do at those times. Because sometimes it's not always a big election. It's not always your vote counts. Sometimes it's just showing up to listen to what people are saying, so you know what's going on. So, as I said earlier, I enjoy talking into these microphones. I actually do. I like talking into the cameras better than I will admit to, although it's still a very funny, odd thing to do. The biggest issue I have is when I'm talking to the mic or I'm talking to the camera and we're talking on the platforms that we're using, no one's talking back. No one's responding back at a level that I'd like it to be. So if you want to, and this is not one I expect to get a lot of comments on, but especially 26 minutes in at the getting to this point, but I need more people commenting. I need more people throwing things out there. I need more people challenging my ideas and championing my ideas with other folks out there. It'd be great to have some mods and to have some folks who can help out with stuff. But we're small. We know we're small. We're happy with what we get to a point, but at some point we all want growth and some expansion. So it's there. We are closing in on 3,000 subscribers, which we know on YouTube it's a currency, but in reality it means very little, and in the grand scheme of things going back and forth, because you can get lots of people watching and not necessarily have those subscribers. But we are growing to a number where hopefully we can call up more folks and say, hey, we're at this point, what can we do about stuff like this? We're looking for more people who will be direct sponsors, not affiliate sponsors. We're looking for more people who want to be partners, who want to do things with us, and not just throw a little couple bucks back my way because we're friends. I have plenty of those. I do the same thing as well, but I really want to have this be a larger issue. More Better Media and the other company, which is Fast Forward Business Properties, really need to take care of themselves. More Better Media is about 10 years in the books, and Fast Forward going on 15 or 16 years on the books, something like that, as their entities going forward. And they don't do very much but offer some semblance of a write-off, and it's not that great a write-off for what we're doing. So we need to do more. We need to do more. We need to do better. I will do more, and I'll do better. And you need to let me know how well I'm doing and step up if I hit those marks. I need more commenters. Yes, it's a snow day. It's 9:26 a.m. Central Time, and most people are not on their computers because they're stuck, snowed someplace, so they're just doing whether their normal stuff. But somebody. I mean, I'm scamming my computer at this time of day, so somebody is there. There's a couple of live streams that happen early in the morning on Saturday, or some things that people release on Friday into Saturday for their news cycle that I don't miss in my early catch of stuff. And of course, back in the day, we used to record right about now the weekly wrap up, where I spent an hour, 2 hours going through the stories that were typical, topical, big time in the last 7 days as extra content for what we did, for what's going on. If that were to catch on to, if that were to make some actual cheddar, if that were to get comments and concerns, that would be a great use of time every single morning to kind of, or every single Saturday morning to make sure that that gets rolled out, because it's a real foot stomp of time and of what's happened, and a big digest of the week going back and forth based on our interactions. Everybody has their own wrap ups. The fact that I have to do mine solo is one thing, but I could give me something to do. That'd be great if you guys would come along with me. And if somebody wants to get up on Saturday mornings or Wednesday evenings or Friday nights, if you will, and do some wrap up stuff, do some talk stuff, that would be awesome. We used to have a lot of fun when we did the interview part and the unfair advantage story, where we let people give their take on one of the top stories of the week, and basically they had to kind of play the game to see which ones of the stories that were popular, which ones they really want to talk about. And that was a big blast of fun. That was built for radio. I'm obviously not in radio anymore, and I don't have the bandwidth that's just out there to blow, and the bandwidth to find people online for the stuff here. So that's it. All of my updates are rambly. They're all kind of rambly. If you saw this, I saw some numbers where people popped in live here or there, just out of curiosity. Thank you for doing that. If you're actually watching it and the StreamYard's actually just not doing a great job of holding on to that number, send me a comment, send me an email, so we can talk about things on the off end. If you're watching this in the replays, just give me a comment about what you think was going on, what we can do to do things better in the future. Because that's it. I know I can take a story, I can take a headline, I can read the facts, I can do some deeper research by looking at 3 or 4 different stories. I can put it into a AI chatbot and look and ask it to distill different things and point out different stuff and add different pieces to a script, and I can read the script fairly easily. But then someone has to watch it, someone has to engage in it, someone has to like it, love it, hate it, share it. And that's where things are falling apart. I could be a great tennis player, but if I don't play against any actual competition, or am seen against any actual coaches that are going to look for people with championship caliber, then I can be a great tennis player in my backyard forever. And I'm trying to get out of my backyard right now, and months ago. So there's that. I also don't know how to close anything, so love you guys, mean it so much. If you have anything for me, share it with me. We will do what we can to make it work. We'll probably sometime in the middle of the day come up with some sort of videos based off of some news cycle stuff, because right now news cycle is the weather, which it should be, even though the weather sort of crapped out and waited late to get into the full steam of things, and a lot of things Trump did, which it is what it is. There should be other things that are more relevant, more conversational out there. That's what's been sort of hard to get to in this past couple days, past couple weeks, be honest. So, health-wise, I'm getting better, slowly getting better. I have appointments, I have rehab. I am going to hopefully, although weather printing now is going to be kind of crappy, get back into some extra working out so I can get back into general shape, because literally walking across the street when I'm at work is a tiring situation. I have to stop and catch my breath. So health-wise, we have a ways to go, but we have a plan and we have a sight, and I can see the North Star and keep on going there. For career-wise, I'm looking for some folks to maybe help me shift careers. I want to stay. I want to stay in education. I want to keep teaching and training, if you will. But it might be time based off where I'm doing, where I'm realizing that my operation support stuff, my management style stuff, isn't quite working where I am, and I would like to be helping to manage some other place, a nonprofit, a smaller organization, maybe being a cog in a wheel someplace going forward. One of the things about what I do for work is I needed to have a grounding point, not to say, I'm a life coach, and so I have to go sell life coaching to people to make sure I'm paying bills. No, I'm a management person working management. So I work everyday management things going back and forth. And I use that as a way to bring folks in to help them do better for that one. So if you know any middle to high level management jobs that have key components to human resources and personnel and different processes, helping things go good, I will take any suggestions going back and forth. Not going to quit my job, not going to up and pull up stakes, but it's other than the Air Force, which was meant to be, if you stick around long enough, a lifetime commitment. I don't have any lifetime commitments other than my wife and the kid, and the kids, the older kid and the younger kid. The older kid's doing fine on his own. The younger kid just wants lots of talkies, so I have to pay for that stuff. We're looking for that as well. The biggest thing is I want the Conversation Project. I want More Better Media to take better care of itself, and so it needs to. And if what you're telling me is I don't have the chops to do that, well, then that's fine. I will do what I can as I want to do to keep myself entertained. But the level of effort I was putting into it is a level of effort for someone who's looking to expand and grow and make sure this thing is actually being profitable. And if it can't do that, I've got to go stop doing many of these things and go flip some burgers to basically maintain going forward. It is the reality. So that was my sign off, which is terrible. Like I said, I can't sign anything off. Thank you for listening to me whine a little bit. Thank you for listening to me go back and forth on some of these issues. Thank you for listening to my opinions and my thoughts on the things that I give out there, because they are my opinions and my thoughts. I think they're fairly good, sound opinions, although when I read some of your comments, I question some things as they are. I will talk to you in some semblance of form, if not recording things for class today. So if you're a class member, one of in my classes, or a faculty member at the school, there'll be some classwork using this technology in a bit. I'll talk to you in some semblance of way on whatever topics. Right now, like I said earlier, there hadn't been much talking about the complaints for Donald Trump, because all the complaints were put through while he was in Davos and before he went to Davos. And so since then, it's been a focus since Thursday, maybe late Wednesday. This weather has been the story, and this weather will be the story because right now ain't nobody moving. I'm looking to my left in the screen on one of the local coverages. They scrapped the national coverage to just sit to talk about the weather because they thought it would be worse. I can tell you from doing news and doing local news, weather is what makes money. So when the weather goes bad, the weather team takes on the full scale of responsibility to keep people paying attention, and that's how you get your ratings. That's how you get your money. That's how you get your attention. You say, we have the weather team where so many people paid attention to it, and that's why we're the ones you come to first. So I get that, and I miss it to a point, but also I'm seeing pictures of our streets on this Saturday that no one is on, and that's a good thing, because we can't do this. We can't do that. I'm done. Thank you so much for all the fish. Give me some comments and suggestions on what to do to improve things around here. Give me some ideas of some people to watch and follow to maybe get some tips from, and some people maybe who are willing to collaborate with. I'll be more brave and ask the question and get shot down more because I need to. And maybe you have a connection someplace that'll make that work. Whether local, whether national, we'll figure it out. Love you. Mean it. Done.